Okay, so I want to talk about a few things. First of all, this is called the Church of All Nations, and we have one thing on top of another here. So we have a Byzantine church remains. Byzantine church was here, then a Crusader church, and then the church that you see now. Okay, so just like everything else, there's no reason to think that the Garden of Gethsemane is somewhere else, because this site goes back to the early Byzantine period and it's commemorated. One thing on top of another. Now, we were just up there at the tomb of Jesus talking about resurrection, and the olive tree is used in Scripture symbolically of resurrection. And so you can see these really old trees over here. I do not think that they go back 2,000 years, but they are very old. And if you look at them, you'll see new trees, new life coming up from the previous dead tree that died. And so this is the way that olive trees work. We've talked about this before, that when the tree dies, they'll cut it down to a stump, and then a new shoot, a new branch will come out and become a tree again and bear fruit again. And so when it's talking about bearing fruit, it's talking about specifically an olive tree. So this is a picture of resurrection. Okay, so and then the other thing that I want to remind you of is what Gethsemane means. Gat means press. Semene in Aramaic means olive. Gethsemane, olive press. So think of the big olive press that we saw the other day at Shiloh. And they had those big wheels. You've seen those big stone wheels that go around and crush the olive. Okay? So think of the process that olives go through in order to get light. And what I want you to think about is, you can see the Golden Gate up here, and behind that tree there, it's kind of blocking it, but you can see the very top of the Dome of the Rock sticking up. Okay? So that's where the temple was. And in the holy place, of course, you have the golden menorah that is continually burning. What is it? What is its fuel that it's burning on? Olive oil. Not only is the temple lit by olive oil, the menorah lit by olive oil, but so are everybody's house. You have your olive oil lamp, right? And that's how you have light. So what olives were most used for was light. And the most important olive lamp was up there in the temple. So this is an interesting place for the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus and his disciples are at a olive press, which is where olives are made into oil that then can be used for light. And who is Jesus? One thing Jesus is the light of the world. And so I believe that when we read the account of what happened here, with that process in mind, then I believe more meaning comes out. What has to happen to an olive to get the oil out of it is it has to be crushed. What does Isaiah give us for atonement? In Isaiah 53, that he will be crushed for our iniquities. Okay? And his crushing begins right here, because he knows what's coming. So let's read it in Luke 22, verse 39. It says this: Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. On reaching the place, he said to them, "Pray that you will not fall into temptation." He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. Verse 44, and being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. You see that image of an olive that's being pressed, so that literally the oil is coming out the pores of that olive. That then is the oil that's used for light. And here, Jesus is under such tremendous pressure, with it about to be rejected by his Father in heaven for what he's going through, and the prayers that he prays are in such anguish that literally the blood that atones for us is coming out his pores in sweat. When he rose from prayer and went back to the disciples, he found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. Why are you sleeping? He asked them. Get up and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. And then, of course, this is where he's betrayed by Judas with a kiss, and then he's taken from here and his trials begin. So what we can do now is we can walk over and walk into the church.